Hello and welcome to another video. It seems like recently no week passes by without me having some strong opinions on someone else's video that comes up on library or YouTube about Linux, and this week's contestant is DistroTube direct from DistroTube, who made a video stating that the biggest failure of Linux is package management. And so there are a lot of things he is conflating in this video of his that I think should not be conflated, at least not to this degree. So when he is talking about package management, he is talking about like package managers and the formats that those package managers are using. He is also talking about software availability, so basically the number of packages, the variety of packages available for the different distribution. And there is a third thing he is not really talking about, but which is a very integral part of the problem he is trying to discuss, and that is the dependencies that are on the different Linux distributions. So how different Linux distributions handle the interdependency between these packages that they offer in their repositories. And so basically his main gripe is that there are just too many different package managers and there are just too many different package formats, and that kind of fragmentation, which is quite a frequent topic in the Linux circles, I guess, Linux enthusiasts and Linux popularizer circles. So that kind of fragmentation is bad. But I would like to refute his video with my presentation titled "Package Management is Not Broken," which is a response, of course, to DistroTube. So basically, a package file is, well, we are discussing like three formats here: the .deb, the Debian package files, which are probably the most often used. There is the RPM format, which is used by Red Hat and the distributions based on their work. And we also have the packages for Arch, which are just .pkg, .tar, .xz. And basically why I really love this mouthful of long extension is because Arch, so a lot of people say that Arch users are really pretentious, but you can see the simplicity of Arch just basically admitting that this is a package file which is tarred up, or which is basically just like an archive of multiple files, and it is compressed using the xzip format. There is no magic in this, so the package file is not magic. It's basically a overhyped zip file which contains the files that should be installed on the system and some basic information on the package. So, and the package manager is also not really like a magical piece of software. A package manager is a kind of a glorified unzip program or unrar, or like, you know, just decompressing a compressed archive. But what it does is basically the extra work it does is it checks for dependencies. So whether, you know, you need some additional packages installed for your package to work, and installs those too. It has to be able to extract the files that are zipped up in this package, and well, it has to be able to put them in the right places in the file system. If there is some kind of file conflict, so maybe your package wants to install a certain file, but that file name already exists in your system from some other package, the package manager should be able to do something about these kind of conflicts. At least, you know, notify the user that something's not good. And well, basically has to keep a track of the files it's installing for that purpose, which includes the ability, which will, well, result in the ability to remove all the files that have been installed by that And I think most of the mainline distributions and that use package managers that can, you know, tick all these boxes, they work quite well. Their package formats are, you know, good enough. But if you need some more evidence for that, let's just check out my package of this program called Free File Sync. So this is from the AUR. I used the, you know, the package build, and the make package script is used to create this package file. So the program is compiled on my local system, and this package file has been created on my local system too. And here in the left side you can see that basically it just contains the directory structure that should correspond to your root directory. So whatever, this goes into your root/opt, and it will contain all these files that this program needs. It contains the binaries. It will also put the desktop files. So these are the icons for your application menu, and some documentation, and some icons in this usr/share directories, and the usr/bin directory will just contain these symlinks that will just link to the binary which is in the /opt directory. So this is just contains basically, if there is anything to be put in, you know, the /etc or whatever folders in your file system, that package file would just contain that, and it will also have a few other files in this. So these three files, the build info, m3, and package info, contains the additional info that the pacman package manager needs for these files to be installed. So for example, this is the .package info. Here you can see that this basically contains what is the name of the package, what is the version, description, etc. And these are the dependencies. So it basically lists the dependencies. So when you install this package, the pacman just takes a look at this file and checks if your system already has these dependencies installed, and if not, it will install those too. So that's not too complicated, right? And well, what I will show you next is going to be even more interesting from this viewpoint, because we are going to take a look. So LBRY it has a desktop application for Linux, and you can download it in an AppImage format or a .deb format. And well, they also have this you know, fine print here, so you can go to their GitHub page for other versions, and here you can find on their GitHub page that they have an officially endorsed AUR package. And if we go into the AUR, this is going to be that, the LBRY app bin package there. You can see here that it has one source file, and if we check out the package build, we can see it maybe better here if I can zoom in a little, that the only source for this file is going to be a .deb file. So this is just basically getting the Debian installer file, and because this Debian installer file, this deb package, is just I said before, it's a glorified like a zip file. What will happen here is that this package build will be used by the make package script, and the make package script will see like, okay, my only source for this package is this this archived compressed file. So it just it decompresses, so what is it, extracts all the files from this deb package, and there is this package subroutine like a package function inside the package build file, and this will basically just repackage. It will just put these extracted files wherever they belong. We can compare this. So we have also a git package, LBRY desktop git package, which uses basically the newest version available on the project GitHub page. Its source, you can see the source is for that is just the newest source code on GitHub, and this one will, well, this is a more complicated one because this will check what is exactly the version of that code that's up there, and we'll overwrite this package version that is given here, because it can check, the source code has been updated many times since this package build file have been made, and we can get the current version from that. We can build the binaries from the source code and just tidy up the stuff, so get all the files, put them into the correct directories, and then after you've done that, the package build script will create the package file. So it's going to be like not the same, because of course this is like a specific version and this is always going to be the newest version. So you can see that it doesn't really matter. You can make an Arch package from a Deb package, and well, I'm not really familiar with how the Debian packaging tools work, but I wouldn't be too surprised if there would be a packaging tool. Basically, you can, because the Arch Linux package file is just this very simple compressed archive. I guess anyone trying to make a Deb package from an Arch Linux package could simply do that. The problem is not really in the package manager and the package management. So software availability was of course the main point, one of the main points in DT's video, and for that we have to understand that basically if you have an open source software like this LBRY stuff, even if they didn't have any officially endorsed AUR package for LBRY, the Arch Linux package maintainers could just check out their this Git repository. They could create the package build file. So if this package would get into the Arch official repositories, what would happen is basically someone would get this package build file, they would run it on their own computer, and once the binary files have been built and have been packaged, they just put that package into the package repository, and so you can just download that and install without anything. And that's probably something that you can, not probably, this is how exactly every distribution works. They just package. So if it's an open source software, it is very much possible that it's going to be packaged by the distro maintainers. So if you are on the Arch developers public mailing list, you would know that there are all these maintainers of Arch Linux who maintain different packages. That's what they do. They just basically build the packages like you would build from the AUR, but they just put that in the official repository, which you can get. And this is where we get to the next point, what I want to make. And I made the same point in my response to Luke Smith's video, is that in Linux, of course, we are depending on a lot of shared backend stuff and basic libraries. So, if you want to make this application A, for example, you want to build a package for that, you have to be aware of like the versions of all the packages that depend on that. And so in Arch Linux, as I talked about in the previous video, if maybe let's see this example. So this backend library gets updated to like the 1.0 version. Then what will have to happen is that you have to either rebuild like these packages that depend on it. So it makes like a new build from the same version, maybe the same source code, but is built against the newer version of the backend. And this kind of changes propagate into every user-facing application that depend on some of these backend stuff. So for use in some cases, maybe these two have been updated relatively similar time period. So you just build a new version of that and then build a new version of that backend stuff based on this basic library, and then you rebuild this application. So in Arch Linux, because everything is always rolling, so these kind of things happen quite often. And so this is why if you are trying to build like proprietary garbage, as people would say it. So proprietary software with closed source code, this is the problem, that whenever something changes in the the basic libraries, you should recompile your proprietary software so your users can use it. And and we can see this is going to be for the part when DT talks about the universal package managers. What can happen here is simply that you can see, like, maybe Arch Linux has all these versions of this software, but Debian has a much slower release cadence, so they don't really release newer versions unless absolutely necessary. So it's a different versions of all these underlying software. So if you wanted to install this program like the application A0.263, you would have to have a different package on Arch Linux and different package on the Debian. And it is not because Arch uses a different package manager or a different package format. This is solely because the underlying dependencies are different. And in Debian, they are very cognizant of these kind of problems. So in a lot of cases, maybe in this backend library, some very serious security issue was found. So that's why they updated. But Debian does not want to update to the newer version. So they try to backport the security fix, maybe make like their own version of this program or this backend library, like a 0.90_B or something. I don't know what is their official naming scheme, but whatever, they try to build this in a way that it stays compatible with all these libraries and the end programs. And so based on this is why the deb files, so a lot of proprietary, or well, so much more proprietary what the software companies make programs available for Debian and for Red Hat, because they can kind of trust Debian or Red Hat not to change all these underlying dependency structures, at least not in their like the LTS releases. So you can just package the same version for both cases, because the Debian maintainers will try to make sure that your program will run. And if that fails, which happens quite often, because maybe some program requires the newer version of this backend library, it just cannot run with 3.1, it must have the 3.2 version, but you cannot just update this to a 3.2 because that would break a bunch of other programs, maybe because everyone else is expecting to use the 3.1 on Debian. So that is the problem that the AppImage and stuff like that can solve. Because let's take a look. For example, if I just make an AppImage from this program, I'll just get all these dependencies that are somehow affecting my program, and I just put all of these into the single AppImage or into the single whatever Flatpak or Snap package. And once all these dependencies are in the same file, when we run this program, it doesn't really care what's installed on your system. It will just link these to the dependencies that are inside your Flatpak or AppImage or whatever. So this is the problem that is actually solved by this so-called universal package managers. It wouldn't matter if Arch and Debian both used deb packages, and Fedora also used deb packages, and SUSE and whatever, Solus, everyone used deb packages. It wouldn't matter as long as they use different versions of these dependencies. And so, well, as a conclusion, I guess I would like to say that no, actually, the package management is not broken. It is not a failure on Linux. It works quite well, actually. I think the problem is just basically maybe lack of manpower. So if you have a distribution which has a very specific like upgrade schedule, and you want to maintain a different upgrade schedule that the big ones like Debian and Ubuntu and Arch does, and you want your own release schedule, what like Solus does, then well, you have to package all the software for your specific versions of backends, or you will have to end up with some kind of this half solutions that are these containerized and like universal solutions, which are only universal because they are absolutely bloated and contain every dependency that the software needs. I guess my presentation is already got too long. My video is much longer than DT's original video. So I guess the fragmentation, well, I can agree that the fragmentation is kind of what keeps certain distributions to have very low number of packages available, but the fragmentation is not in the package managers. And well, I guess if you learned something from this video, why don't you consider giving me a thumbs up, upvote or something, depending on which platform you are watching this video on. You can follow me or subscribe to the channel if you are interested in more this kind of in-depth exploration of Arch Linux, or just in general free software related topics, and the occasional video on other things. And well, if you have any questions or comments, you can leave them down below, and well, I will see you next time. Bye bye.